This is the Pushing Buttons Podcast, the weekly video game podcast where we talk about ideas, concepts, opinions, and experiences in video games. My name's Kevin.
My name is Robert.
I'm Kyle.
Today we're going to be talking about, inspired a little bit by, in my opinion, Diablo Immortal and Fallout 76. We're going to talk about games that have stepped outside of their genre, outside of their typical genre, and how that affected said franchise or franchises. But first, as always, how have you two gentlemen been the last week?
Well, first of all, Robert's back. Welcome back, Roberts.
I made it back from my blimp trip.
Where's the blimp juice?
I'm sipping on it.
I am sipping on it. I had to
dump the rest over the ocean.
Oh,
Makes
man.
sense.
Yeah.
They caught you, huh?
Yeah.
So, you had a good time?
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm back. I had a nice
Happy to have you
vacation. Got all refreshed and relaxed. Got to go on another little mini vacation today. Got to drive over to my homeland, Central Oregon.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been a good week since I've been back.
How was the drive?
It was nice. No snow in the mountains, no ice or anything.
It was a beautiful day, and typical for, or in general for a drive today.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great drive myself out to the coast.
I think it was Oregon in general, yeah.
Yeah.
Sunny, wasn't too cold.
There
just
were
perfectly crisp.
I think there was an air quality advisory in place for from all the wildfires down south in California.
Yeah,
right
thank
now.
God I was in the office all day.
Well, I didn't see or realize. I didn't notice any smoke out there at all today
Man, the weather was just perfectly temperate all day.
because of the thermostat.
Yeah. I had a wonderful time today. It was a great drive coasting in my racing chair.
You didn't scoot your scooter around at all?
Oh, once or twice.
Okay.
Naturally,
A little bit chilly in the warehouse, but
it's because Robert
naturally.
wasn't there.
Yeah.
I worked up a sweat today. I was doing all sorts of
Lifting.
acrobatics.
Were you like putting freight away while like doing cartwheels?
I will
Doing
leave that
Yoda
to your
flips.
imagination.
I am imagining it now. What about the rest of your week? Did you do anything in particular? Any highlights of your vacation?
Any video game related stuff?
Let's see. Went snorkeling. That was a highlight.
Whoa, cool.
That's probably the big highlight of my vacation.
Fun.
Yeah, got to see some stingrays and all kinds of fish and cool stuff like that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, just I went to Mexico, so exploring like all the old parts of town, like where all the all the people live and stuff. Like I love seeing like a microcosm, of just
Gotcha.
humanity, of just people living and observing that. So that was cool. Walking
Especially when
around
it's
town.
a different culture that you're not
Exactly.
used to.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of like travel shows, Anthony Bourdain and stuff. So it's kind of living that fantasy for myself, I guess.
Parts Unknown is so great.
It really is. It's a great
Did
show.
you experience Mexico like John Marston did?
No, sadly.
Okay.
No.
I was hoping you'd talk about Red Dead a little bit.
I can talk about Red Dead a little bit.
Why don't you talk about Red Dead a little bit?
I'll talk about Red Dead a little bit.
Okay.
So I played some, and I didn't go to Mexico in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
You went to Mexico in real life, but not in the game.
Not in the game.
Okay.
No.
I
I
don't
did
think
get
you can
accosted by
you?
some hillbillies last night, though. I was setting up camp.
Mm-hmm.
It's a certain part of they're a gang, so different parts of the map have different gangs.
Yes.
First time I encountered this gang, I made a camp like up in the northern part. And you know how the camp animatic, you set up camp and then it goes right to like you can craft or cook or whatever.
Yes.
It was taking a long time to get to that, so I was like, okay, is it like glitching or something? All of a sudden this voice like comes up behind me and this dude just walks around the campfire. It's like, hey man, you're in our territory or something like that. And then he has a buddy and they have like
Shit.
caveman brows and stuff.
Nice.
Like you can tell they're like inbred. Scared the hell out of me.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine that in VR. Or, in real life.
No.
Or don't.
No.
That's cool,
No,
too.
thanks. Yeah, that's about it. Also, one other thing I did, so I finished the first season of Big Mouth on Netflix this week.
Oh, cool.
It is a really funny show. It's super crass, but it is hilarious. And it's kind of like BoJack Horseman,
Yeah.
where it's an animated show, but it's got depth to it, and like pathos.
I could get down with
And
some
it's-
crass humor.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Especially the animated variety.
Yeah, all the voices in it are fantastic. But
Nice.
yeah, gonna start the second season probably this weekend.
Cool.
There you go. How about you,
Kyle.
Kevin?
I don't really have much of anything to report. I played a little bit of the Spyro Reignited trilogy.
Really?
Ooh.
You bought that?
Well, I'd said on the podcast months ago that I pre-ordered it for Ashley,
Oh, I forgot about that.
but I never played past the... I think I played the original Spyro the Dragon on the PS1 for maybe a total of 35, 45 minutes, somewhere in that range.
That's about my experience with it.
So I've already played more of the remaster than I did of the original, and I gotta say it's not for me because I don't have those nostalgic feelings for it. But the game is gorgeous.
I was going to say, from trailers I saw, it's like really awesome graphics.
That is exactly what a remaster should look like, and I know Crash Bandicoot was the same way. They took what the look and the feel of the original games and made them look like a modern version of it. And the sounds, the music, you can actually switch the music from the remastered version to the original version of the soundtrack.
I was going to say that. I saw that on a video. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. The controls feel nice and tight, just like they did back then, except now you have the dual analog sticks as opposed to just the D-pad.
I
so
remember that.
yeah, it plays exactly how you think it would in the modern day, and it is Spyro the Dragon, which is not for me, but for a remaster is good.
I think I might pick it up when it goes on sale.
Yeah, I mean it's only $40 full price, so when
Yeah.
when it goes on sale, it'll be
Like $20, I'll be like, that's a good deal.
yeah. I don't really think I've done much else besides driving a heck of a lot this week, but that was work related, and I don't want to talk about work related.
This is not
stuff.
the place for
Yeah.
that discussion.
Yeah,
That's
this
a
is about
different
happy
podcast
thoughts.
for a different time.
No, there's no other podcast for that.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, never. What about you, Kyle?
Oh, man. What about me?
What have you done this in the last week?
Oh, I've been streaming a lot.
Yeah, you've been streaming.
Red Dead Redemption 2 for a little bit over the weekend.
I missed most of that.
That was a lot of fun. I'm really getting into the heart of the game now.
Nice.
I'm starting to feel like my inner cowboy's coming out.
I'm more
Both
interested.
guns pointed at everybody.
I'm more interested in the other game that you've been streaming.
Yeah, so during the week, I was like, I could stream more Red Dead.
Or
Celeste.
yeah,
Yeah, it was cool, man.
you're going through the Game of the Year nominees to
I
try
am.
to round out your Game of the Year
Spider-Man's
list.
next.
Yeah, nice.
I want to play it.
You should.
I want to have the most complete understanding for these picks and go into this fully prepared.
I have a couple that I am wanting to play. One that I own, one that I don't. They're both PC games that I want to play before the end of the year. But I'll discuss those at a later date.
But to put it in a word, Celeste is incredible.
That is a word.
It's a word I use too much. But first impressions, I love the mechanics. Like the dash feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you can hold onto a wall feels good because I was struggling with that. Because Super Meat Boy, that's where I was kind of borrowing from.
Right.
You can't hold onto the wall, but
You
you kind of
just
slide. But you can actually grip onto the wall
And climb.
and climb.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is really
To an
neat.
extent.
Yeah. And I love the first area that you first experience, like your shadow, or the main character's shadow,
Uh-huh. Yeah, that
like
was...
her reflection.
That was really cool.
It was.
It opened the game up to, like, oh, this is what the game's going to be.
Significantly,
Yeah.
Yes. Because, it was just like a standard platformer.
Right.
But then, of course, you get into that moment where you're going through those space blocks. That's what I call them.
That's a good word for him.
And if you dash through it, it just pushes you through the block, and you come out the other side with your dash refilled.
Momentum. Yeah. And you keep the momentum that
Yeah.
that you had going in. You
It's
keep that
really,
going out.
really fun to play. Like, I was really enjoying that segment, but the game just feels great. Like, I love playing it. I feel like later areas, not so much. Like, there was one area with the bubbles that I wasn't really grasping too well.
Yeah.
That took some learning, but I could see what they were doing with it.
The bubbles, are you talking about the ones that you hit to replenish your dash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ones where, like these crystals
Uh-huh.
that you touch that
Yeah.
refill, that was fine. But later on, I think it was like chapter 4, there are these bubbles that you kind of stay put in, and you make the direction change.
Yeah, okay.
That was kind of rough.
Yeah, I noticed you were having a
Yeah,
difficult
I
time
was.
with
I
that.
died a lot.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see where it goes. I'm really looking forward to stream more of it.
My favorite level of what I had played so far, and you've already played it as well, was the hotel.
The hotel was great.
Meeting Mr.
Oshiro.
Oshiro.
Mr. Oshiro.
He was a character, and
He
I
was.
love the characters in that game in general. The main dude that you keep finding along the way, I forget his
Theo.
name. Theo, yeah. He reminds me of our friend Doug.
Oh,
He,
I could see that.
yeah, he's just like hanging out. He's like, sup? He's just hanging out in a plaid shirt.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong
I love
with
the part where he's just like taking selfies of you and
that. That doesn't sound like Doug, but
well, I mean, basically like you find him in these situations and he helps you like calm down.
Uh-huh.
Like your character calm down.
yeah.
And that was really neat. Like there was a portion where you're on a gondola and there's this gameplay shift where you're just trying to keep this feather afloat in the middle of the screen. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Like I was actually feeling more relaxed as I was trying to focus on that.
Interesting.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I what I really like about that game is because when I played through Super Meat Boy or what of it I did, I didn't care about the story because it was go to the end of the level, try to save Bandage Girl, Dr. Fetus takes
Yeah,
Bandage
it's
Girl.
pretty generic.
The
Yeah.
story and the characters in Celeste are very well thought out, and that's what I think pushed that game over the edge for me. It kept me playing, and I have not finished it, but I've gone through a decent portion of it. I haven't done any of the B-sides yet, but I have unlocked a lot of them.
Oh, it's cool. I fiddled around with that.
Oh, yeah?
It changes the music.
Yeah, it does.
Makes it more fast.
It's like the Dark World. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
I saw your
it does.
reaction, Robert. It's like the Dark Worlds in Super Meat Boy.
Yeah,
Because the Dark Worlds had like remixed versions of the original.
it's really
theme.
cool. I also like the dialogue. Like it's really well written.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
And I thought at first it was kind of off, but I really like the voice work for the characters. Yeah, like the Banjo Kazooie effect, like Wagga Wagga.
Each one has
You know.
their own specific sound style. Yeah,
Their tone, yeah.
and it conveys exactly. Like you can tell what that character is conveying and how they're conveying it.
Yeah,
What type of person that character is based on the sound that they make when they talk.
I can see why it's a Game of the Year nominee.
It-
It's just really well polished.
The controls feel absolutely perfect. The story is brilliant for that style of game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the ending.
Yeah, me too. Actually,
Yeah.
I kind of ashamed that I haven't finished it yet, but I did play a lot of it earlier this year, and I'm gonna probably dive back into it.
Oh, please do.
Yeah,
I need someone to talk about the game with.
yeah,
It's on consoles, right?
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's on PS.
consoles and PC. Yep.
Is it on Xbox? I thought it was. I know it's on PS4 because that's what I own it on is PS4.
Oh,
that.
is it only exclusive?
I don't know if it's exclusive.
I have
or
no
not.
idea.
I think it's on Switch, so it's probably not exclusive to those two.
Okay.
Might be on Xbox, but you have a PS4 as well.
Yeah.
So
But that wraps up my week.
nice.
Very excited to see where these games go.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I did do some digging into Fallout 76.
You played it?
No. Of course
Digging.
not. I did some digging. I watched
Oh.
I watched a lot of stuff on it. I
watched some
reviews.
streams.
I watched some streams.
Yeah.
Early impressions and
Mm-hmm.
so on and so forth. And the main takeaway that I have from it is that I still don't know what they're trying to accomplish with that game, who that game's for. And when we sat here and talked about E3 from this past year, we had that bonus episode earlier.
Yes.
About E3, and we talked about we need to know more about Fallout 76 before we can have any like judgments on it. And even playing the game or watching the game being played, it still doesn't answer any of those questions.
No.
I think that's the biggest disappointment is that game, it from the impressions that I've seen and read and heard, it looks like a game like The Forest or Rust, just with a Fallout skin.
yeah, that
And-
genre never really appealed to me.
Yeah, it appealed to a lot of people for a very short period of time.
Yeah.
It seems misplaced, misguided. That game could
I
have done
just-
something wonderful for the franchise. Instead, it seems like thus far, it's flopped.
I think like my first reaction to it was I went to Twitch and I saw how many people were watching it,
Uh-huh.
and it was so low. Like it was around
For a new release.
for a
For a
new
AAA
release?
new release, yeah.
Because I remember Red Dead was over like 150,000.
It was number one on Twitch.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah, Call of Duty was the same,
Yeah.
even though that game didn't have a single-player campaign.
But it's still up there. It's even higher than Fallout right now.
Yeah,
And Fallout is just kind of in the middle of the pack there.
yeah.
That just tells me everything I need to know, I think.
It's a good gauge, but it leads us to the main topic of talking about games that have genre swapped. And I guess looking at the game, it doesn't look like it's really changed genres. But going from a strictly single-player story-driven game to an online survival game, it definitely has changed genres. And it seems like them not having a vivid image of what the game was going to be, because they've even released statements saying that they're still working on the game, making it bigger, making it better. It just tells me that they haven't really fully developed what the game is going to be, and it's what I would call final version, because this looks like an early access title.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still got a lot of bugs, from what I've heard.
I mean, Bethesda games always have bugs. Online
Basically,
games
yeah.
always have bugs.
That's true.
Bugs, and it's probably a lot more plentiful in this game than in other Bethesda games. But it just feels like for them changing genres so drastically, it doesn't seem like they put in the time and effort into the development of it that they should have. Or the thought process.
It feels more like a spin-off than like a true sequel.
Yeah, and there's been other cases of spin-offs that have worked out. And I'm not Halo Wars. Halo Wars is probably a bad example. But
I mean, basically, I was thinking of franchises that had main installments that genre bended.
yeah, Halo Wars is kind of that way.
I could see that. But
Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to talk about Halo Wars for a
Okay.
few minutes. Because Halo was originally going to be developed as an RTS for the Macintosh. Before they ended up swatching.
They swatched it.
They swatched it to a first-person shooter, and of course it exploded from there. But then they tried to go back to the roots with Halo Wars, and nobody wanted it. But I think for an RTS, and that was a console RTS too, wasn't it? Did you
Yeah.
play that, Robert?
I never did. The only RTS I got into was Battle for Middle-earth 2.
Right, and you talked about that a little bit.
And I always wanted to get into it, but I think by the time it came out, I was over that genre. And Halo wasn't enough to make me, I gotta play it at that point.
yeah, I was crazy about Halo back then too, and I just had no inclination to play Halo Wars.
You also weren't an RTS fan, really, though, were
Not
you?
really, no.
You played some StarCraft, though, didn't you?
Back
Like-
in the day, yeah. Command and Conquer, Red Alert, I played the hell out of that game.
Did you ever play Rise of Nations?
No,
That game was freaking awesome.
I've heard good things though about that series.
Really, really good.
And like Age of Empire, I think, as well.
Probably. I mean, I haven't played that, but
I mean, my real experience with RTS was mainly with Blizzard games and Command and Conquer. That's all I know.
gotcha. So what did you have in mind? What were you talking about before? I cut you off.
Well, basically, with Fallout 76, I mean, is it really a successful transition? And I feel like a lot of the things I'm going to bring up are going to be both good and bad.
I mean, that's the point.
I feel like one of the greatest examples of it working is the Resident Evil series.
Go on.
So basically, you had the first trilogy, 1, 2, and 3.
That's a trilogy, yeah.
They had the camera perspective of...
Sorry.
What's so funny?
I was being an ass. Go on.
What am I doing?
I was being an ass, I said. Go on.
Wait, is this something I said?
You said they had the trilogy of 1, 2, and 3, and then I said that's what a trilogy is, and then I laughed.
See,
I
that was
joked.
me then.
Go on.
Okay. Where was I in my thought
They had the
there?
camera swap.
So basically, they changed it from a survival horror game to a third-person action shooter with Resident Evil 4. And this is kind of what I'm trying to focus on, is like main installments in a franchise.
Okay.
I mean, that makes more sense than saying, you know, we could talk about all day about Mario games and like Mario Tennis and Mario Football.
I plan to talk about
Mario Party.
I plan to talk about some of those, honestly.
I mean, for me, I'm trying to base it off of like main installments that specifically made that transition to evolve.
You can talk about those all you want, yeah.
So Resident Evil 4, I feel like was a very successful transition. It took a genre that was, you know, well established, and it kind of flipped it on its head and changed so many of the systems to be more engaging to the player. Like having that camera perspective shift, it just makes it a whole different kind of experience for survival horror. And they did it again with Resident Evil 7. And that was incredible. I loved that game. I felt like that was super scary. And it kept the roots of what made Resident Evil great as a series. And I feel like that's going to be my top contender for successful gaming genres changes.
On that same topic, I would consider then, if you want to go into that level of detail, the differences between Mass Effect to Mass Effect 2 to be enough to classify it as a genre change, because it went from
Oh, I see what you mean.
it went from a third-person RPG to a third-person shooter, in my opinion. Yes, it was a third-person RPG with shooting mechanics, but then it went to a third-person shooter with RPG mechanics, and totally that is my baseline for hating Mass Effect 2 so much, is because it took away so much of what I loved about the original game and its RPG elements and turned it into, I don't want to say dumbed down, an accessible version of it.
I was going to say they took
In
out
its second installment.
They took out the Mako sections too in Mass Effect 2.
Take it or leave it.
I mean, from what I remember, you didn't have any exploration.
In the DLC, they had another vehicle.
Oh, did they?
I think so.
Oh, that's right.
I don't
Yeah, I think
remember.
I vaguely remember that.
There was there were like very specific missions you could do with a vehicle in DLC missions, and I think that was in 2.
Okay.
It might have been 3, but I think it was 2.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't do any DLC for 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what changed my view on that franchise, was when it went from an RPG to a shooter.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm not a big action guy unless it's stupid, silly action like Far Cry or Just Cause.
I mean,
Spider-Man's action.
Yeah, but it's also silly. And that game, and I'm going to talk about it in our Game of the Year episode next month, but that's more about the fluidity of the game, and
Yeah.
the feeling of it, more than anything else.
Okay. I mean, I feel like another good example of genre bending is Metroid.
Are you talking about the regular Metroid, Super Metroid to Metroid Prime?
Yes.
Okay.
Specifically with that shift, what Metroid Prime does so well is that it encapsulates everything that makes exploring those games really fun. Because it takes a Metroidvania style game and puts it in a first person perspective. You don't have that very often. It's really rare. Like, I feel like being Samus, you could go through those older games and not really feel like you're the character. But as a first-person perspective, you get that viewpoint, like, in the world. Like, as you're exploring the spaceships with the pirates, as well as the planets. It was a really great trilogy. I loved, and the motion controls were awesome for the third.
Say what? Good
remember?
motion controls?
Well,
I've never heard of such a thing.
Metroid Prime 1 and 2 were on GameCube,
Uh-huh.
and the third one came out on the Nintendo Wii.
Mhm.
And I didn't play the trilogy that they remastered for the Wii. They took the first 2 games and put the motion controls of 3 with those games.
Oh, okay.
I've always wanted to
Interesting.
play that, but I've heard it was really good. But from what I played of Metroid Prime 3, it worked really well. It was just a really fantastic trilogy of games, really atmospheric.
Huh.
Like, it really puts you in those, planets full of aliens, and you just feel like you're really experiencing all of that content, like, as Samus. Whereas, from a 2D perspective, you don't really get that same feeling.
Mhm.
But I feel like it was a great transition. Great use of genre bending.
Is it weird, and it probably is since I'm asking the question, that I'd rather have it in a 2D, like a 2D perspective, that side-scrolling perspective, than first person?
Well,
I
of
find
course
it-
you would. Yeah, I mean, another example is Castlevania.
Mhm.
That's done a lot of different genre bending as well. You have Castlevania Symphony of the Night,
Mhm.
which pretty much took, like, the base game and gave it RPG elements, which I think you would like.
Yeah.
That's where you're missing from Mass Effect. Like, Symphony of the Night is a great example of that. It just takes everything about Castlevania and makes it so much more open to exploration because you get abilities as you level up.
Right.
And, oh my god, it's such a great game. I cannot talk about that enough. It's just amazing.
Symphony of the Night was the first Castlevania game to have that exploration
Yes.
to it, because before that, the Castlevania games were just about
They're
beating
pretty
a level,
linear.
going to the next level, going
Yeah.
to the next level, going to the next level.
But you can take, you can go in whatever direction you want as long as you're not limited by a door being locked or
They
something.
took cues from Super Metroid.
Yes.
And that's where the Metroidvania name
Combination,
comes from.
yeah.
Is because those 2 games were the first big ones to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're probably also wanting to talk about, like, Lords of Shadow, then, I imagine.
I mean, I mentioned this in the past, but I personally love Lord of Shadows. It was a great way of taking this great franchise and exploring it in another perspective. Because, the boss fights, man, they were incredible in that game. I think that's what I take most from it. Was back in 2010, I think it was. I mean, that was huge. It was a huge game. It took like 20 hours to beat. And that's really long for a Castlevania game.
Yeah.
I never really played the PlayStation 2 ones. I think they're called Harmony of Dissonance.
Dissonance.
Oh, wait, no, that's a Game Boy Advance one. Ah, shoot, I can't remember the names now. But the PS2 ones, I never played.
I almost said Aria of Sorrow. I was thinking Harvester of Sorrow.
I just can't remember the names.
Wasn't Aria of Sorrow? Wasn't that one of them?
That was I think that was a Game Boy one.
I don't know where I just pulled the
remember
name
right.
out from because I never played it.
That sounds like one of the Soma ones, Aria of Sorrow. But I'm not too familiar with the Castlevania
Franchise, yeah.
franchise. I played a couple of the Game Boy ones, but not very many. But, yeah.
I know something that I could talk about to get Robert to start talking a little bit.
I haven't been able to think of anything.
Because it's something that you've mentioned in the past, too, on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mainline Forza series versus the Forza Horizon series.
Yeah.
And it's technically a different series because they put that Horizon name in there, but it's still
Yeah.
the same franchise.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. It's been a couple weeks trying to get my brain working. So just trying to say, like, how they did it successfully, or just feel
The
about
differences
it?
between them, I guess. And
Well-
if it worked or if it didn't work.
Oh, it definitely worked. I think at this point, the Horizon subset has surpassed the mainline one. And
Is that like in the general public's eyes or just in your eyes?
I think in the public's eyes.
Okay.
Because they've, both series have consistently gotten like good reviews and are always big sellers. But I feel like with each installment of Horizon, it's gotten bigger and bigger, and the noise around it has gotten bigger. And I think more people are interested in that now than just the regular simulator Forza. And that was one reason why I enjoy Horizon a lot more, is because I don't care for simulators.
Mhm.
I'm not about skill and all that stuff, so I like the more arcadey thing.
Yeah.
And so they took, basically what was a super realistic, everything is detailed. You can manipulate everything about your car, and they distilled it into an accessible kind of arcade racer. But you can still have some of those elements. They don't affect the game as much as like the main one, but everything just feels more fluid. It's easier to control and handle. It's got an open world instead of just going on courses around the world.
Right. It was enough to set it apart from the mainline franchise,
Yeah.
or from the mainline series, to have its own subtitle and to keep making those games independently of the other ones.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, they're better too. I mean, I've never played them, but
Right.
just from watching them even, I'm more interested in the Horizon.
Yeah, you can see the difference
Series.
even from watching.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to be. There's a lot more to engage with, I think, with having an open world RPG. And I use the term RPG a little loosely in there,
yeah.
but there are RPG mechanics in that game, more than just being a simulator where you fine tune the car to a T.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's points of that in the Horizon series where you fine tune the car, but it's more about the exploration and about the
I feel like in the main series, it's necessary.
yeah.
Like you have to fine tune your car, whereas in Horizon, you can if you want to, but it's not necessary to make it feel good, to be able to do drifts and whatever you want.
right.
Yeah.
That's sick drift, bro.
It's all about the jumps, man.
There is one of the most successful, and I don't know if it's so much a genre swap as the rest of these that we're talking about, but one of the most successful ones in history is going from single-player Call of Duty to multiplayer Call of Duty. And it's maybe not specifically a genre swap, but it's enough of it. I consider a single-player first-person shooter a different genre than a multiplayer first-person shooter, because
That makes sense.
there's different mindsets going into it, different mechanics going into it.
The focus has shifted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And me personally, them going to multiplayer only now is why I'll never play Call of Duty probably ever again.
Yeah,
But-
I'm with you there.
Yeah, now there's even Battle Royale.
I gotta say, watching the Battle Royale version of that for the first couple of weeks after it came out, I was super into watching it on Twitch. I loved it. I hated watching PUBG. I could almost stand watching Fortnite to a point just because it was colorful and it was vibrant. It was something to look at that was different than the super gray, brown, realistic, air quotes, of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And Call of Duty is just a streamlined experience. And they took that streamlineity, streamlinitaryism, and it worked for the Battle Royale thing, I think. They've since added microtransactions, which is neither here nor there. But that's where I see Fallout 76 going as well. I think that game was made specifically with microtransactions in mind. Because why else have an online only experience if you're not
that you can only use with Bethesda's launcher for PC?
If you're not going to monetize it, there's no point because you won't keep making money and your audience will just keep dwindling away.
Is Elder Scrolls Online like that at all?
I imagine so, but I think Elder Scrolls Online is a different genre than what Fallout 76 is.
Gotcha.
Elder Scrolls Online is an MMORPG. That is a typical MMO. It's along the lines of EverQuest. It's along the lines of like World of Warcraft to an extent. Whereas Fallout 76 is more of it's a subset of an MMO, but it's not an MMO in the sense that you're playing with a set number of characters or a set number of other players, and it's all about the survival in that world, living in that world, rather than leveling up and going through quests.
You know, I feel like Fallout 76 is more akin to games like Arma or, DayZ. Games that are open world, but are basically sandboxes.
Yeah, like Rust in the Forest, like I was saying before.
Right.
They're like sandbox survival.
Yeah, but I feel like...
Or Age of Conan.
I mean, I want to play it for the lore. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all up for learning more about that universe.
Yeah.
But I'm not in a hurry for this one.
It just looks like a dull environment.
Just give it a year or two and wait till they've added a bunch of stuff and it's all bulked up.
To me, it just seems like a Fallout 4 reskin. I'm just not really feeling it.
With less personality and more people that you don't want to play with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the big thing stopping me from playing is even if you don't want to play with other people, then there's going to be nothing for you to do because there's no NPCs. All the quests are delivered by, robots or by finding notes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know why I'm just now thinking of this, but I've already mentioned the game. The one that is the most successful genre swap of all time for a franchise, Warcraft, into World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is entirely different than Warcrafts 1 through 3, which were RTSs. Mm-hmm. And going to an MMO.
Never knew that.
It was an entirely different concept altogether.
Yeah, I played Warcraft 1 and 2 back in the day, and man, when World of Warcraft came out, I was like not prepared for that. Illidan was right. We were not prepared,
I'm sure that's a joke that I would appreciate if I knew the
exactly,
lore.
Yeah. It's a Blizzard joke. I saw on BlizzCon that they're remastering...
Blizzard joke. Diablo Immortal is the best Blizzard joke ever.
I was going to say, wasn't Diablo 2 genre swap of Diablo 1? Because that was single player, and Diablo 2 was multiplayer.
No, they were both multiplayer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they were both single player as well.
I only played it single player, Diablo 1.
Oh, I play them both online, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think of Diablo Immortals? I mean, it's not so much a genre, but it's like a platform swap.
In the same way that the Elder Scrolls... What was that mobile game they announced?
Blades?
Yeah.
Blades.
Why do I remember this and you guys don't?
Because I don't care. In the same way that Elder Scrolls Blades
stuff.
isn't for me, Diablo Immortal's also not for me. Because I don't play games on my phone. If I do, they're crossword games, they're puzzle games, they're little games that I can play for 10 minutes at a time and not have to pay to keep playing. Or it's not my thing. I don't care that they didn't announce Diablo 4. So a little behind the scenes, I was preparing a full-on story, like a news story thing about Diablo Immortal before I got way behind and not able to do it in a timely manner. But the biggest thing there that I took note of was that back in August, one of the community managers at Blizzard said that there are multiple Diablo projects in the works. She released a little 2-minute video of her talking to the community, saying that there are multiple Diablo projects in the works, and that some of them might be able to be shown off this year. Others definitely will not be. The fact that they showed something for Diablo was promising. The fact that they didn't do what Bethesda did and still give... Because the thing that took away from Bethesda's press conference about the Elder Scrolls Blades, who wants that, who needs that, was that they still announced the Elder Scrolls 6. Mm-hmm. They had that little screen at the end with just the title and the backdrop, and that was it.
That was all they needed for the drip feed to keep on dripping.
If Bethesda could do it, Blizzard should have done something like that.
Yeah.
The reception to Immortal would not have been nearly as viral, in my opinion, as
yikes,
as the backlash to Diablo Immortal was. I think people were disappointed because they were expecting either Diablo 2 Remastered or Diablo 4 to be announced.
Or Diablo 1, for that matter.
I would prefer a Diablo 1 Remaster over a Diablo 2 Remaster, because my PC can still play Diablo 2. I don't have any way of playing Diablo 1 without pirating it, and I don't do that. Excuse me. I don't do that, so I can't play Diablo 1 anymore.
Good man.
There is kind of a Diablo 1 built into Diablo 3. Once a year, they have an event that allows you to go down into the church and go down it level by level, but it's only got a few levels. It's still Diablo 3. They changed the walking animation to look like Diablo 1 a little bit, which is more cute than anything else.
Yeah.
But it's really just a throwback, a callback, more than remastering of a game. I would love a Diablo 1 remaster. I would really get down with that. Even if it was a mobile game, I would probably play it.
I wouldn't put it past them. They just announced the Warcraft 3 remaster, so I'm looking forward to that because I've never played Warcraft 3.
Well, the fact that they're doing this, they're remastering Warcraft 3 so long after remastering the original StarCraft, leads me to believe that they're not going to touch the Diablo franchise for a remaster for quite a while still.
Maybe.
It might be their next one, but
hopefully.
How long? Excuse me. How long ago did StarCraft Remastered come out?
That was 3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, so it'll be probably another 3 years before any Diablo remasters come out. And especially with them working on Diablo 4, and I think that's been confirmed that they're working on Diablo 4. Whether or not it'll actually see the light of day is another thing.
It'll probably be a couple years before we see anything on it.
Yeah. The rest of what came out of Diablo Immortal, if I'm going to talk about that, I may as well finish talking about it, was their partnership with NetEase on that, and how NetEase, they've got multiple games that are just reskins. They're basically clones of other Blizzard games, and people are afraid that Diablo Immortal is going to be a reskin of a clone of a reskin. With with monetization.
Yeah, it's not good.
On top of that,
not good at all.
Post-launch monetization on top of that, which is, I understand the backlash. I really do.
I never read into it, so I didn't understand what everyone was so upset about.
It was
until now. So
the biggest reason I think people were upset about it at the time, especially, was because it was the end of BlizzCon. People were expecting a huge announcement,
and they got a mobile game.
Gotcha. Yeah, and
it makes sense.
Yeah, that's why you get questions like, "Is this an out of season April Fool's joke?" and stuff like that. Did you not hear about that?
No.
There was one at the
like I said, I ignored Blizzard articles.
It was right when you went on vacation.
The Q&A after the announcement, one of the guys asked if it was an out-of-season April Fool's joke. And there was another guy that asked if there was any intention to put this on PC at any point in the future. Nope. And the guy said, no, we're developing this for Android and iOS. You can play it on your phone and iPad or tablet, but no.
Yeah, I think their words were, you guys got phones, right?
That's what I was leading up to. Is there was that was met with a chorus of boos. And then throughout the boos, you just hear one of the guys on stage go, "You guys have phones, right? You guys all have smartphones?" Like, yeah, that's how you win your crowd back over, is by talking down to them like that. Not smart.
Blizzard's out of touch, man.
They'll take something and streamline it and then remonetize it over and over again. Yep. It's the Activision touch.
I know this. Yes.
It's the Activision touch.
Well, getting back to the main topic.
That kind of was on topic. Diablo Immortal is kind of a genre swap, but go for it.
Metal Gear to Metal Gear Solid.
From the original top-down,
Yes.
2D pixelated shooter for arcade.
First into a fully realized stealth game.
Right.
I mean, this was mind-blowing back in the day. Hideo Kojima just knocked it out of the park. The stealth elements in Metal Gear are like, they're up there, like with Splinter Cell. Those are like the two golden standards for stealth.
Yeah.
I mean, it pioneered so many different subgenres to come out of that stealth genre. Because, you have games like Dishonored that borrow from that. And other stealth games I can't remember.
Ones that don't matter as much.
Exactly. Like every game has like a stealth segment.
This Hitman to be the same
Okay,
way.
that's a good example.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have those random games with stealth segments.
Yeah.
They took those straight out of Metal Gear or Splinter Cell, I would imagine. But man, that's a game.
There's a game.
There's one franchise that did... sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that was a good segue.
There is one franchise that I talked about last week on the podcast that almost every game was a different subgenre of the first-person shooter, and that was Far Cry, until after Far Cry 3, when they just decided to go the way of Activision and just keep going down the same path that they've been going down. Far Cry to Far Cry 2, huge difference from a linear first-person shooter to more of an open-world first-person shooter. And then from Far Cry 2 to Far Cry 3, having the outposts and the radio towers, and you can go anywhere you want at any time.
Oh, yes.
And then from Far Cry 3 beyond, they just kept that same basic center of gameplay.
It's their new golden standard.
And it's because it's worked for Assassin's Creed, it's worked for The Crew.
Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs.
Man,
Pretty much every Ubisoft franchise that's out there has done the same thing.
Yes.
Assassin's Creed has kind of done a mini revamp too.
From Syndicate to Origins.
Mm-hmm. And now even
Origins to Odyssey.
Yeah, it's a similar, but it's even if you put Odyssey next to Syndicate, it's a huge leap.
Yeah.
From third-person action to now it's like a fully fleshed out RPG
and more open world. You could literally go wherever you want at any time, rather than having to go to certain points at certain times.
And I know you don't care for him that much, but a lot of people have been praising it for going the RPG route, and trying something different. It's still the same formula, but now it's got a little more variety and a little bit of change to it. And I've enjoyed it a lot. I'm glad they've started going that direction.
For Assassin's Creed, they have their spin-off franchise of the Chronicles series, which haven't done too well. Yeah. It's because they seemed like dumbed-down versions of Mark of the Ninja, and Mark of the Ninja was fantastic.
Great game.
The Chronicles games, I've tried playing Chronicles China, I think on 4 separate occasions. I've played the first 4 or 5 levels 4 or 5 times, and I just stop playing it at the same point every time because I lose interest. They took a series that worked in the way that it was and tried to do something new with it, and I applaud them for that. At least Ubisoft has at least tried going out of their way with random franchises. When I said like Valiant Hearts and Child of Light, they tried doing new things, and I think they tried doing new things with the Assassin's Creed franchise, and they just didn't go all in enough on the Chronicles series, because that could have been a really, really good franchise. A sub-franchise, I guess. It could have been a really good series, but it just seemed like there were already other games out there, like Shank and Mark of the Ninja and other Clay games that do the same thing, but a heck of a lot better. Even Prince of Persia, the original Prince of Persia games, I felt played better, even though they had terrible controls.
Hey, man, I gotta say, that's another good example. Is
Prince of Persia.
Sands of Time.
Yeah.
Man, that game is amazing.
Well, I mean, going from the original Prince of Persia to the Sands of Time. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the reverse time effect was in the original game. I don't think it was.
I don't think so either.
But
if it was when you died, you reversed time to get back.
Yeah.
But I think that might have been added later.
Oh, okay.
To like a remaster or something.
But man, that was an incredible example of a game changing genres and it working so well. If I remember right, I think that won Game of the Year for its year. It was so successful. Wow. Like, what made Prince of Persia so great was that it didn't punish you for dying. you could reverse
The original
time.
Prince of Persia did.
Yeah.
That's what it was known for, was
But-
that it's punishing.
I mean, you get a portion of
punishment.
that in so many games now, where if you die, you just load from the recent checkpoint.
And that's what Celeste does so beautifully.
Yeah, exactly.
Celeste is great with that.
And I think Prince of Persia really does it well because you have all these traps that you have to navigate,
Mm-hmm.
and all of these platforming challenges, as well as combat. It had combat to the game, like third person, third person combat, and overall, I just think it's a phenomenal way of taking a game at its most basic elements, like Mario, and adapting that to a modern audience, like Mario 64 did.
Mm-hmm.
Prince of Persia does that as well, and enhances that original game's legacy because of it.
You want to know another franchise that does exactly the same thing? Went from a 2D shooter to a first person shooter in pretty much the same time frame. It went from a classic DOS 2D shooter to an N64 first person shooter. And that's Duke Nukem. They did the exact same
Duke
thing.
Nukem?
Duke Nukem 1 and Duke Nukem 2 were
Oh yeah,
tough as nails DOS
I remember those.
side scrolling.
I think I played those when I was like in 5th grade or
Dude,
something.
I have them now. I got the
I remember those.
the collection on Steam,
Yeah.
and it's got the original Duke Nukem 1, Duke Nukem 2 on there.
Uh-huh.
And those games are flipping hard, man. I went back and played the I don't remember if it's the 20th anniversary edition of Duke Nukem 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the recent remaster of that game was. And that game wasn't nearly as hard as I remembered it being.
Man, Duke Nukem 3D is one of those timeless games, I think.
Duke Nukem 3D is incredible.
It's still fun to play.
It really is.
Like, I haven't played it in years, but I know I'll still have fun playing it.
Dude, you should. Like it has there are versions on Steam that'll work with Windows 7 and Windows 10.
You know, that's another good example is Shadow Warrior. The spin-off. for
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
that got re-released or rebooted or whatever.
I guess Duke Nukem did too again, but I don't want to talk about that.
But, I mean, yeah, that goes without saying. But have you played the new Shadow Warrior?
I played it until
I own it, but I haven't played it.
I own it as well. I haven't played the second one, but I never played the original Shadow Warrior games.
Oh, that was a good game.
The games that were
That was
spin-offs of like I think Daikatana was another one that was kind of the same, but it was apparently
John Romero's gonna make you his
horrible.
bitch.
Yep. Right, that was what they said. That was the tagline. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Stick to Doom, man. But
Yeah, really.
I did play quite a bit of, maybe not quite a bit, maybe about 3 or 4 hours of the new Shadow Warrior series. I forget what it's like 2014 when the first one came out, somewhere around there.
Mhm.
It gives a lot of fun. The sword makes it brilliant to play. It is incredible to play. It feels fantastic. It's just frantic, fast-paced action, which is what you'd expect from Shadow Warrior.
You know, speaking of Daikatana, there's other games that genre bended that weren't good at all. I have a great one. You ready?
I'm ready.
Star Fox 64 to Star Fox Adventures.
Aye.
That game was a turd, man.
That game had some hype behind it
It
before it
did.
came out, too, because everybody loved Star Fox 64.
I bought it on launch. I was so hyped with my new GameCube at the
Uh-huh.
time because I just bought Smash Brothers. I'm like, whoa, look at Fox. He looks totally different from his 64 version. And then I get Star Fox Adventures. And then, you know, you hear all these dinosaurs speak, like, bebop, boozooba dabba dooba dabba.
That's
And, you know,
periodically accurate. Yeah.
like, it's gibberish. It's basically gibberish. Like, if you watch a cutscene from that game, you'll be like, what the hell did I just listen to? It's nonsense. It's complete nonsense. But, you know, they took out what made Star Fox such an iconic franchise, was the R-Wing
Easy for you to
segments.
say.
Not at all.
You're welcome.
I'm too passionate about this subject.
You know what you should play then?
What?
And I still haven't played this either, but I plan on it before the end of the year, is Starlink. Battle for Atlas.
Is that the Skylanders ripoff?
It's one with the toys, right?
It has the toy integration to it, but the digital versions have more than the physical versions, and you don't need those stupid toys to play them.
Yes.
The digital version it's apparently a really fun game. The Switch version has Star Fox in it, and they have their own side quests as well as the main quest of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it apparently plays a lot like the original Star Fox and Star Fox 64 did.
Well, that's
with those
already
tight
better than
controls.
Star Fox Adventures.
I
'Cause
will
that
never
game was
play that
horrible.
game, yeah.
It was like trying to be an Ocarina of Time ripoff, and it didn't even do that well. It was just this blend of games, and they had R-Wing segments, but they were so stupid. And oh my god, that was a horrible game. I really regret owning that game.
Did either of you guys play Lara Croft in the Guardian of Light or whatever those
No.
2D Lara Croft games were?
I played the demos.
I never played them.
I never
really
got
started.
into them.
I was like,
Lara Croft till the reboot.
They were Xbox Live Arcade games, right?
they were also on Steam, I think.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they weren't classified as Tomb Raider. It's like even Hitman Go was I think mobile one. I think there was a Lara Croft Go as well. But these were not that. The Lara Croft games were like set in the Tomb Raider world, but you played as Lara Croft or this other guy, and it was a co-op, almost Diablo-looking game, but it was more of a puzzle platformer than an action adventure. It was really weird. I didn't play them either, and they never appealed to me. I was hoping one of you guys had, so I could have some insight
No,
on
I
it.
don't. No.
Oh, that's okay. I forgive you.
One thing did pop in my head though from the 360 days. It wasn't so much of a mainline genre flip, but it was like a
Side franchise or side?
like a spin-off.
Okay.
But is the Dead or Alive fighting series, and then they had Dead or
Beach
Alive like beach
volleyball.
volleyball. I think they had two of them.
Hey, man, that game was amazing to my teenage self.
I never
imagine.
actually played
I didn't either.
those ones.
I played the original on Xbox.
I remember watching videos a lot, but I never. I think there was a demo actually. I think I might have played that, but
I watched a lot of those videos too,
Oh,
but never
man.
played the game.
I played a lot of those games with one hand. Good times, dude.
Yeah, that game had an audience, and they went all in
yeah,
on that audience.
it'd be hard to imagine that kind of game being made nowadays
I know, with the
by a big publisher like that.
Yeah,
it's too risky, too risque.
too risque.
You guys remember Red Faction?
I never played it.
Red
Like-
Faction. You're talking about Armageddon now, aren't you? That's
well,
where you're going.
I'm going back to the PS2 one, the first-person shooter.
I never played Red Faction or Red Faction 2.
Neither
I played
have I.
Red Faction Guerrilla.
I have.
And I watched a little bit of Armageddon. I never played the original 2.
I mean, that was such a weird transition. You had a first-person shooter, then you had an open-world, third-person, blow shit up kind of game,
yeah.
and then you had a survival horror game. It was like, what are you trying to be?
Guerrilla was fantastic, though.
It was a fun game, but I mean, I didn't love it. Like, it was fun, but not really memorable.
Did you know that game and Saints Row are set in the same universe?
No way, really?
They totally are. They both even have the same mega corporation that takes over everything. The Ultor Corporation.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a neat little gaming trivia fact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm enlightened now.
And put that in your pocket now.
I don't know if it's been confirmed that they technically take place in the same universe, or if they just both have heavy nods to each other because they're both THQ games. I think they were both THQ games,
I think so.
but yeah, they both had the Ultor Corporation, which was like the corporation that took over Mars in Red Faction Guerrilla. It was the corporation that was trying to take over everything in Saints Row the Third.
You know, speaking of corporations,
Uh-oh.
we gotta talk about a big one.
Okay.
I mean, this is like a given. Like Grand Theft Auto to Grand Theft Auto 3.
I was gonna say that. Yep.
I mean,
Yeah, the original. I never played. I played probably an hour of either GTA 1 or 2. I don't remember
Same.
which.
I probably had a little bit, like 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and I hated it.
Yeah.
I thought, I was like, this game is stupid.
Yeah.
Because you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, and it was like, holy
It
crap.
was like the best game ever at the time.
yes.
So I played 3 first, and then I was like, "Oh, there's 1 and 2," and so I tried to go back and play those. and I was
That's what I did too.
I was
as
like, "What the hell is this?"
well. That's exactly how I did it too.
I mean, I didn't really play Grand Theft Auto 3 till after Vice City, but Vice
Weird.
City was like a immensely influential game on me because I played it I think when I was 13, which is definitely below the ESRB rating.
Hey, but your parents bought it for you, so it's okay.
No, actually, I went over to a friend's house every weekend,
Oh,
and he had the game.
gotcha.
That's how I also played Halo and Animal Crossing and SOCOM and all those other awesome games.
Your parents wouldn't buy you Animal Crossing?
Not for a while. It was dangerous at the time.
Might get you too attached
Addicted.
to having animals
Yes.
in the house.
Yes, but I was exposed to a lot of different games in those adventures. Holy crap, man. GTA is amazing. Especially when you're a teenager. Like,
GTA 3 and GTA San Andreas were the two Grand Theft Auto games that did the most for me.
like I was obsessed with the strip clubs in Vice City.
Going from DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball to the strip clubs in Vice City.
I think Vice City came out first. But
Either way, man, you're not.
you're a
painting yourself in
teenager,
great
you're
light.
like, holy crap, this game is mature. And you need to get in there. And you need to...
So before that, there was Duke Nukem 3D, and they had
I tipped that lady.
There were several of them.
Hey, I paid for my services rendered. GTA, not so much.
I just remember from Duke Nukem 3D, just the lines of "Shake it, baby, you want to dance? You want shake it, shake it, baby, you want to dance?" Because you just keep hitting spacebar and keep handing the lady some money.
He had unlimited cash. It was great, man.
I loved making him cut himself off by saying "Shake it, baby, she want to dance, shake it, baby, want to dance." That's pretty
I don't
great.
think you can do that in the new one. I
don't
never
know.
played Duke Nukem Forever, but I watched streams of it.
Duke Nukem Forever started off in a risque manner, and it was really stupid, and that game is terrible, and I blame Randy Pitchford.
Oh,
There
boy.
it is.
I heard about a lot about him last week.
I think Kyle made it sound like I absolutely hate the guy.
You do.
I don't hate the guy.
You do.
I badmouth a lot of his games.
You do.
Yeah.
No. Alien Colonial Marines.
I mean, I don't personally blame
Oh,
Randy Pitchford
That's
for
a
that.
good one. Alien Colonial Marines to Alien Isolation. That is amazing.
Even Alien versus Predator
Yes.
to Alien Colonial Marines to Alien Isolation.
Oh,
Those are
man.
three totally different genres of games.
I never played Alien Colonial Marines, but I knew from a mile away it smelled of.
Yahoo!
You're welcome.
It was a horrid monstrosity of a game.
Yes, very much.
Statue was cool, though.
Huh?
The statue was cool
Statue.
from the collector's edition.
Oh.
Did you own it?
Yeah.
You bought it?
I pre-ordered it, dude.
You guys both bought it on launch?
Yeah.
When did you buy it?
On
Launch?
launch. You just said on launch.
But why?
Because
'Cause
I
it
wanted
looked like
an
a-
alien game and it looked cool and it had a cool statue.
I was super
What
hyped
the
for the
hell?
game.
Why was I immune to that?
And then I traded
Turd.
it in like a week later.
I
Amazing.
pre-ordered it digitally.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
The game came out
Was
with
it
a
really
trailer.
that big of a
We
game?
Yeah.
talked about this.
The
It was
game-
super hyped?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, the E3 trailers for it looked incredible. Are you just now learning about
The
this?
trailers did look incredible.
I haven't seen the trailers.
The trailers did not look like the game.
The trailers and the hype behind the game are what made me buy the movies and watch them for the first time.
Holy
Really?
cow.
That was
Whoa.
how into it I was. I watched the movies and I'm like, screw it, I'm pre-ordering this game.
This
So I
is-
pre-ordered the game, and that's why I hate Gearbox software.
This is
Which-
mind-blowing.
You watched all four?
I did not watch the fourth one. I
not
watched
missing
Alien,
much.
Aliens, and Alien 3.
Which one's your favorite?
That's a toss-up between Alien and Aliens. Those two are both
Well,
incredible
I mean, those
movies.
are the two.
That's a genre flip.
That is a genre from a horror
Yes.
from a horror flick to an action flick.
Yeah.
Those those are both incredible movies for what they were, and that is a genre flip. That's a great one though.
Yeah.
Very great one.
Wow, I can't believe I missed out on such a huge release.
Well, you didn't miss
in
out on it.
in retrospect, you didn't miss out, buddy.
You saved yourself $60 and a lot of headaches.
God,
Or
was it really
$90.
that hyped?
Yeah, did you not have
No.
internet?
Maybe it was because I just didn't have any, like, you know,
Internet?
personal... No, like, Alien scared me as a kid, so I didn't want to play any of those games. It was only until recently I played Alien Isolation, and yeah, that game scared the bejesus out of me.
Well, it's like I said, I hadn't even seen the movies until after I watched the E3 trailer for Aliens Colonial
You need
Marines.
to stream Alien Isolation.
I might do that sometime. I don't
It's
own
a
it, though.
fantastic.
That'd be fun to
I don't own the
It's
game.
long, but man, it's a great game.
I might-
Slong.
Schlong. Schlong. I think you need to cut back on the alcohol count.
Do I? I've only had one.
That's fair.
Should I get another one?
No, it's cool. Do you have any last minute
Oh,
fire offs that you want to go about?
I wrote a whole list today.
All right, just fire them off. Don't go into discussion about them. Just fire them off.
Oh, I actually talked about a lot of them.
There we go.
Red-
Every Mario game ever.
Well, here's one that you would like:
Okay.
Red Dead Revolver to Red Dead Redemption.
Did you ever play Red Dead Revolver?
Nope.
Me neither.
It was a linear game. It wasn't open world.
I have watched some videos of it.
Basically, it's story driven, and you have chapters, but they're like single missions. Like it's basically like event to the end. But it was a fun game. I mean, if you're looking for a blast from the past, I recommend it.
From the videos I watched, it didn't look like something I'd want to play.
It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Call of Juarez Gunslinger was a totally different game than all the other Call of Juarez games, and it was incredible. It was almost an on-rails shooter, but without the actual rails for you to... Like, you could... It was super short linear levels that you had to do things in a certain way. And it was incredible arcadey fun. Anything else?
I wrote down the original Legend of Zelda to Zelda 2.
Yeah, and then back to... Even
Yeah.
again to... the Link to the Past.
Yes,
Yeah, those are all three completely different games.
they are. Yeah, but I haven't played the first two. I've only played Link to the Past, which is a phenomenal game.
One of the best games of all time.
I have Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time to what we have now with Breath of the Wild, open world.
Yeah.
I talked about that a lot.
All the
already.
Zelda games have been like pretty much complete. Like Final Fantasy,
Yeah, that's had a lot of spin-offs
Mario.
that changed genres. Syndicate Wars to the first-person shooter.
I have no idea what you're
I was
talking
kind
about.
of hyped about it, but apparently it was terrible.
Never heard of it.
Syndicate Wars was like a top-down RPG where you like control a squad of these commandos, and it was like a cyberpunk game. It was really cool, and essentially they would be like, controlled by you to. I can't remember the story of the game, but there was like a remake of it basically in a first-person shooter style in 2012 by EA. I never played it, but I heard it was okay.
Syndicate Wars?
Yeah.
To me, it sounds a lot like Shadowrun.
It's kind of like Shadowrun.
Because
yeah,
Shadowrun
the original.
had top-down RPGs,
Yeah.
and then they had the third-person Xbox 360 game that was online competitive, like an arena shooter. And then they went back to Shadowrun Returns and Dragonfall with the top-down RPGs again.
Yes.
Very, very weird.
I think that's all I had.
I have one last one that I want to talk
Yep,
about.
that's it.
The Binding of Isaac to The Binding of Isaac 4 Souls, which is a card game that I'm going to be getting in the mail pretty darn soon because I pledged...
Oh, is it out?
It will be. I don't know when, but I
Oh.
pledged to the Kickstarter, and I will be getting my gold box at some point, and we will be playing that, and I'll be having a lot of fun with it.
Are we
Just
going to
like-
stream it?
No, I tend to record it, edit it, upload it.
Oh,
Streaming it's way too hard with so many cards, and it's going to take a long time. I want to
What's playing
streamline
that?
the episode.
That'd be fun.
Well, I don't know when it's coming out.
You just said it was soon.
I don't know when. It is soon, but I don't know when.
But how is it soon if you don't know when?
It's November. That's all I know.
Well, that is soon. You said you didn't know when, though.
I don't know exactly when. I don't know what day.
But you said November, like you have like a time frame.
I said soon. Soon is also a time frame.
No, it's not. You didn't have soon as in
November, sometime in November. I'm
If
happy
you're
with
enjoying
that.
us talking in circles, please do yourself a favor and listen to all of our past episodes because they have as much gold as this one did. If you have any other entries to the list that we've discussed today, let us know, or want to talk about any of the ones that we've talked about, let us know. Hit us up on Twitter at PushingButtonsP. You can find all of us individually on Twitter as well. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, CastBox, however you're listening to this podcast. Just click the like buttons, leave us a comment, let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitch because Kyle streams there very, very often, and it is fantastic fun to watch. Twitch.tv/pushingbuttons for links to all of these and to everything we do. PushingButtonsPodcast.com. Thank you for listening to us. We will see you next week with another topic that we, as of yet, don't know what that topic is.
It'll be soon, though.
We'll come
In
up with
November. It'll be in November.
It'll be in November.
Actually, no.
Don't know what
'cause
day yet.
It won't be, because... yeah, it will be. It'll be on the 27th. Yeah, it will be. 26th, 27th. I can't
we
see the
actually
calendar
know.
from here.
Man, that's soon.
Because it is soon. It's in November.
27th.
Until next time, see you later.
Adios.
Goodbye.
Love you. Soon.